Welcome to the Automotive Blockchain channel, everyone. Hey, welcome everybody. I just want to say thank you very much for those of you that have put comments in the comments section. This particular video, I am definitely looking for comments out of you. This is not any type of clickbait that you had seen on the thumbnail for this video. I literally am thinking to myself, great reset in the making. At any point in time before that I was watching Star Wars, I never thought in my head until I saw this particular episode of Star Wars Bad Batch wait a minute, Star Wars is literally the perfect example of a great reset story. It literally is. So let's go ahead. Now, my little one, she wanted to love Star Wars, and she wanted to get in touch with this Bad Batch because she had saw like an advertisement for it. And keep in mind, she's 8, okay? And she's like, hey, I want to watch Bad Batch. And I had never heard of it, so I quickly watched the first episode to kind of get an feel for what it was. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, this is interesting. So it takes place right after Order 66, okay? And Order 66, for those of you that don't know, and you're not part of the Star Wars universe, you don't understand what that's about. But Order 66 is basically that order that is kind of like a Manchurian candidate code that once a stormtrooper in white hears about it, they end up freaking out, and then their brain goes into bippity boppity boop, and they kill all the Jedi. That's Order 66. If you don't know, if you want more information, see Revenge of the Sith, episode number 3. So Bad Batch takes place right kind of during the aftermath of that, like immediately during the aftermath of this, okay? Actually, episode 1 starts with Order 66 happening with this batch of clones. And here is the interesting thing. They start incorporating the idea of identity, digital identities and blockchain identities and cryptocurrencies into this. So they're programming, for my opinion, they're programming the viewers, which by nature is a lot of children, but hey, let's face it, a lot of adults too, including myself, like it. They start programming them in there. And so when I was watching this, I was like, you mean to tell me you're going to need some type of credit to travel? They're programming that in there. Let's see how this rolls out. So let's set the scene, all right? So we have here on this first, kind of like the first thing is you have this character that you see on the screen here. And keep in mind, these are screenshots. Hopefully you won't, peg me at all for saying, hey, why is the animation so funny? I just took, some snapshots. I didn't want to have any type of live moving things here. So you have this character here. His name is Cut, and he is a clone himself, and he's talking, and he lives on this particular planet. And he and another character that you'll see in just a minute by the name of Hunter, who is also a clone, is part of the batch of 5. Or he says, we're heading into town to book us transport off world. And just so you can set the stage here, they both have Hunter and Cut, the character you see here, are having this conversation with themselves about, hey, you know what? My world's bad. Your world's bad. I need to get out of town, man. And Rex, and for those of you that do not know who Rex is one of the key stormtroopers that help out the Jedi along the way. Obi-Wan and etc. So Rex communicates with Cut. He kind of gets a reference in there. Rex told me that a storm is coming, and the clone troopers are on the rise. And he's saying to himself, saying over to Hunter, "I'm heading into town to book us transport off of this planet because things are starting to get rough out there." Okay. So going to the next scene, they end up going to town, and they look up in the sky, and they're looking around. They realize, wait a minute, what's going on here? Troops should be pulling their forces, not securing a post. The war's over. They're trying to understand what's going on. They're looking over their shoulder, and as you can see, Cut, who now has on a hat, he's trying to dip him down because he's trying to remain anonymous. He's on the run. He's been hiding. He thinks this planet that he's on is good to go. However, now he's realized he's got to go. All right, so they move on to the next scene, okay? In the next scene, they look up in the sky and they see a ship going over, and Cut says to them, they started seizing ships about a week ago. And Hunter's looking at this. This is Hunter over there. Hunter's kind of like this Rambo character, and kind of like a Rambo character in here. That's the way he kind of looks. And so Hunter kind of asks, well, wait a minute, is it just military ships? And Cutter responds in this particular case, no. all ships. I want you to pause for a minute. Let's tap the brakes on this, all right? He's saying all ships. So when you think about in the real world here, and you're thinking about a great reset and how things can change and how things can happen and how supply chains can be affected by this great reset, they're saying that, and they say this in the episode, and those of you, trust me, you need to watch it. He says they're tagging all of them. So he uses the word tagging, and you'll see in just a few minutes what that tagging really means. Okay, so he's tagging all ships, not just military ships. So when you think about supply chain, not just your private ship, your private vehicle that you own, but also anything that has to do with supply chain, economics, those are also being tagged. All right, let's move on to kind of like the next scene here. So they're walking along and they're trying to go over there so they can kind of get utilize some cash in order to book a flight, so to speak. And so Hunter asks Cut, the guy in the hat, hey, so where will your family go next? And he's asking this sort of question. And Cut replies, I suppose, find a remote piece of land on a distant planet. They're literally trying to get away from the big city where all the influences is from what's going on through this military control and this new world, or in this case, this new galaxy that is taking place in front of them. A whole new galaxy organization and revamp, a reset of from the way that things were in the galaxy to the new way that things are going in the galaxy. Okay, so that's what's happening. So he says, I suppose to find a remote piece of land on a distant planet. So they keep walking along and they get to this person here. And I like this character. And for those of you that are going to watch this episode, and keep in mind, it's the second episode called Cut and Run, pay attention to what appears on her forehead. My opinion is, and hopefully I have enough close up here, the thing that appears on her forehead reminds me of Elon Musk's Neuralink, okay? That thing that goes in the head, and you can kind of tap into it and kind of, you can use it to communicate and all that kind of stuff. To Starlink is what I believe it's going to end up doing. But anyway, so they come up to this particular character here, and this character comes out and says, what do you want? And so Cut replies, he pulls something out of his back pocket and says, I need to book passage on the next shuttle out of here. And in his hand, he's holding what he considers to be the currency of this particular planet, some type of credits for this particular planet, a currency, something that would be good for monetary value. Okay. But guess what happens? The blue character here, and you can see that kind of what I call that little Elon Musk Neuralink thing there. Those credits won't do you any good without a chain code. Yes, can you believe? I could not believe it when I saw this. I was like, wait, I literally had to pause it, and my little one was like, what are you doing? I want to watch it. And I was just sitting there looking at this, and I don't think I would have caught onto it if I didn't have the subtitles playing. I don't think I would have. So anyway, it says without a chain code. And I said, they're literally putting all of the credits into the blockchain. This is the Great Reset literally taking place, scene by scene in this particular episode. So let's move on. All right. So they literally Cut and Hunter, they're looking at each other saying, wait, what? And the blue character says, it's a new galactic policy. Okay. So that's what the blue character says. And they're looking at each other kind of befuddled going, okay, wait a minute here. So the blue character points over to this kind of hologram thing, and I apologize for the image, it's not that clear, but points to this hologram image. And for those of you that have watched Stargate or anything like that, SG-1, you know that there's this kind of, during a certain series dealing with the Nordic gods, they have the same type of kind of tower thing. And this hologram kind of pictures and says, hey, every citizen can exchange their invalid currency for imperial credits. Literally, the money that you think you have right now is worthless. Throw it in a wheelbarrow and wheel it around town. It means nothing. Every citizen can exchange their invalid currency for imperial credits. That's what the hologram says. And the hologram goes on to say, thanks to the generosity of the new galactic empire. See, before all the planets were fighting and there were resistance fighters, etc., but now there's this new galactic empire that's taking over. And thanks to the generosity, we're giving you this new currency that you'll be able to buy all of the things that you want to buy, et cetera, et cetera. So now keep in mind, what's happening? They're trying to book travel. They're trying to go somewhere, and they can't unless they convert their currency over to the new one. All right. And it says that thanks to the generosity of the new galactic empire. And finally, this particular holographic character says, because things have pretty much, and I'm ad-libbing here, but you can see there in the title or the subtitle, it says, with peace comes opportunity and prosperity for all. So they're giving that warm message as part of this great reset that has happened due to Order 66, the prosperity for all. And I'm here to tell you that there are so many Easter eggs in here. For those of you that are Star Wars fans, there are so many Easter eggs in here of little characters that are kind of playing into how this rolls. So you got to keep in mind, this takes place before Episode 4 in Star Wars, kind of like what we of the older generation would call the originals. With Luke Skywalker and all that kind of stuff. Luke is probably a little infant at this point in time as this episode is going on. So you see that here. So I thought that was very, very interesting. So now here's the thing. So you think about this. This is real world that happens in this, okay, folks? This is real world of how change is happening. And it's my personal opinion, and I'll show you a couple of articles in just a few minutes on how that plays out. But let me just kind of close this thing out a little bit. All right, so you fast forward a little bit in, and there's a little bit more in the episode, no more than like the first 12 minutes or so. And you have this character here. He's trying to book passage to get off the planet. And he goes, I booked passage on this transport, which means he already paid. He already paid using his own currency. But guess what? And what does the stormtrooper say? No planetary travel without a chain code, blockchain code. You can't make this stuff up, folks. I'm telling you, the writers are brilliant. I love what they've done with here. I'm completely, all of my fandom, which was great for Star Wars anyway, could be completely renewed. So finally, in the tussle, the citizen gets pushed to the ground because he does not have a chain code, and stand down, citizen, stand down, because you do not have your chain code. And they push this particular character to the ground. I know, folks, this is real life utility in the making here, in my opinion, and I kind of love it in a sense. And I know some of you are going to be thinking I'm probably the most dark individual, but I can see how things are playing out and kind of setting themselves up. So let's flip over to an article real quick, okay? I'm going to flip over to an article just to kind of give you an idea. Literally live in your face in all sorts of ways this is coming into play. The Great Reset hasn't happened in our planet as of yet. It's in the making right now. As you know, Jerome Powell, we're going to a new economy, and it's not going to be the same one as before. Everyone has seen it. Here's something from IBM, okay? I've shown this in an article before, or in a video before. Using blockchain to manage vehicle data, personal preferences, and transactions. It's out there, folks. With vehicles and rides increasingly shared, you're seeking transportation with other people, off-planet, on-planet, whatever you want to call it. Drivers' preferences need to travel with them to create a personalized experience. Well, isn't that what they want to do? It's something that's going to be making it easier for you. And keep in mind the Internet of Things with that. So, and all of this is going to have a ripple effect with disruptive changes, and it's going to affect industries such as insurance, energy, travel, oil. And by the way, guess what? Yes, energy and oil. Guess what's going on right now? The whole pipeline in the United States. I'm just saying, they're going to come out with some type of identity thing that's going to reinforce this. And VeChain, in my opinion, is going to be one of the players in that game. And let's go over to another article of that. So for those of you that don't realize this, VeChain is a huge player in the VID matter of things. So you can have vehicle ID, you can have digital IDs for yourself, personalized IDs. Let's go over to another aspect of this, and we're going into leading automakers and technology companies advanced blockchain vehicle identity that could help buyers avoid cars with incorrect mileage, maintenance, or damaged histories. All right. So they're going to be taking your entire vehicle, giving it kind of like a birth certificate so that it can have a unique ID, placing it on a distributed ledger so that it can be sealed. So this way it will, well, I won't say eliminate because there's going to be crooks in everything, but it will substantially decrease the amount of fraud, millions of dollars of fraud that happen in the automotive industry as it pertains to that. So you're going to be needing this ID in order to sell your car in the future, in my humble and I believe very accurate opinion. And as you can see here, the Mobility Open Blockchain Initiative, MOBI, Member-Led Vehicle Identity VID2 Working Group. So they have a working group that has been established, and I covered this in previous videos. VID2, a working group that is establishing industry standards as it pertains to vehicle blockchain, personal identity, and vehicle birth certificates. All right. So, hey, everyone, that is what I have with respects to this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section. I look forward to hearing from you next time on the Automotive Blockchain Channel Bus. And hey, you will not need a chain code in order to listen to this. Not yet, anyway.